Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the DirtInfo podcast. I'm Josh. Carter, I never point the right direction, but he's beside me. And down below there's our good friend Julian. So obviously we're gonna start and talk about the big, huge race that there was this weekend. So I mean, everyone watching us probably watched it too. But anyway, Julian, you went to the Snowball Derby. So tell
Yeah,
us all about that.
biggest race this weekend on Flow for sure. Sure everyone in the racing world was watching it. But yeah, I went to the Snowball Derby. My first Snowball Derby since 2011 when DJ Vanderlee battled Chase Elliott side by side for the last 5 laps. And of course, I guess Dirt, actually, to tie it back into Dirt, most will know that DJ Vanderlee was actually paralyzed in a micro sprint crash in Texas a few years ago. And so he ended up making his return to the Snowball Derby this weekend too. So that was really cool.
Okay.
That was a really cool thing to see him.
Driving or just there?
Oh,
He's
not
still paralyzed?
yeah, he's still paralyzed. It's
Yeah,
unfortunately it's a really bad one too. So it kind
that's a
of
bummer way to tie it back to dirt racing.
well, I'm just yeah, unfortunately, but it was cool. I mean, it was really cool that he
Moving
came back.
past that, yeah, it's cool that he was there. All right. But anyway, so how was the racing this time that you were there, Julian?
Yeah. So other than that terrible disappointment, it was awesome. I first time I've gone to more than one day of Snowball Weekend. So I went there. Snowball Weekend is Thursday through Sunday with different support class and things like that. And so
Don't they practice like all week long for that? Or
yeah,
is
they
it all
do. And
it's
I heard through social media that it kept maybe some of the Wisconsin teams decided not to come due to that. Maybe like a Johnny Sauter, uh, apparently. But I don't know the truth of that. But yeah, a lot of practice throughout the week. I'll allow it. I usually crap on practice for asphalt racing, but there was a lot of, and it's a big race. It's the biggest one of them all, so it kind of builds the hype. And so I went on Friday for pool qualifying for the Snowball Derby. Never been to that. It was actually really awesome. I mean, one car at a time, 2 laps. Every time somebody went by the finish line and set a great time, the crowd erupted. It was cheering for him, no matter who it was. But that was awesome. And
Yeah.
then
I watched a little bit of that in between like fence repair of the dirt or of the dome. And it was kind of cool. I mean, you could hear at first the early part on the broadcast at least, the announcers had perfect timing of always sort of talking over the guy setting fast time. So all you would just hear in the background is the crowd. So like even in that respect, we could hear at least hear the crowd over the broadcast. So it was kind of cool even to just watch. I'm not a big asphalt guy, but racing's racing. It was fun to watch.
yeah, and I mean, it was. I had a lot of fun that night. I mean, other than freezing, it got down to about 36 degrees, and I forgot
Oh,
my
our kind of weather, Carter.
it's
yeah.
not it's 46 here today. It's actually warm here today.
Yeah, I had 40s.
Uh,
It gets
it
down
was
to
like
10 on Thursday
it's like
though, so
70 today. And it's funny. Before the a few weeks before the snowball, I saw people on Twitter and they were going on about how is it going to be the snowball derby? It's not cold in Florida. Yeah, it's cold. It gets cold in Florida, especially around Pensacola.
Coldish.
About 36 degrees is pretty cold. And so I literally had to sit. I was sitting on concrete and I had to keep my feet off of the concrete because they were freezing if they weren't. So then my feet fell asleep. So that was fun trying to walk
I
after.
mean,
But
like a horse with shoes on, not horseshoes. Anyway, uh, I to be
you're muted, Josh. You got technical difficulties.
Josh has been
why
fighting
it's being
technical
weird.
difficulties for like the
Yeah,
past 30 minutes. He just keeps getting randomly muted. Maybe for the best.
back.
We are back.
We
We're
are
back.
back. Sorry about that interlude. I don't know. It's a brand new mic cable, but I'm gonna have to get another one. That's annoying. No, anyway, well, that stomped on my joke, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. 36 degrees, you still can't make a snowball. So, I mean, name still doesn't seem apropos.
I drive home and drop down to 32.
Mm, right on the edge. But
Yeah.
anyway, so so the pole qualifying, and then there was a race there as well.
Yeah, so qualifying time Majeski came close to actually breaking his track record, which was pretty cool. Of course, Wisconsin guy for Carter, and then Caden Honeycutt was on the outside of the front row, and then they had the Modifieds of Mayhem uh, finale, 75 laps. It was their points only series that had a points finale that weekend, actually. And it was actually a really great race between Derek Griffin and Cody Stickler, who I mentioned is my one for the road a few weeks ago here. But they had a great race through traffic for quite a bit of that race. And then fortunately, Griffin had something go wrong in a restart and dropped through the pack. And it was basically all Stickler from there. But it was really great modified race. And I know you watched a little bit of it, Josh. I think we talked about that.
I did. I watched again another fence repair. I had some downtime, so I switched over. Um, and it was good racing. I do have thoughts. One, is there really only one lane? It's just around the bottom. Anyway, and two, I really did not care for the layover flag. I always was under the impression that it was a hold your line flag. Not in that race. That is a layover flag. That is get two lines lower and go half a rate of speed and let them immediately around you and don't do anything. So that was frustrating to watch because like the leaders were in traffic and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna get good. And then just every lapper just immediately out of the way. I'm like, this is dumb. But anyway, that was mid race. I know you have lots of defense of that. I'm gonna say mid race, that was annoying. But I ended up switching it off because at one point a lapper just got squirrely and plowed into third place or fourth place at the time, stuffed them into the wall, and I think ended that guy's championship hunt as well in the fray.
I think the top three in the championship finished the race in the pits. And like I know one of the guys came back out and he had a really damaged car. And he was kind of driving like a dirt car, and he ended up just pulling it in because he wasn't gonna make it. He had gain like 9 positions, and he just couldn't do it, so he just pulled it in. But yeah, Josh and I talked on the phone on my drive home from that race, and we were arguing about this. I don't think they laid over. I think they were just fast. But yeah, I mean, it was a really fun dice through traffic. The two leaders they lapped up to like I think 13th or something out of the 30 cars. So that was awesome. But yeah, not there's a few pileups, but I mean nothing like the truck race that Carter and I watched on Thursday, and
That
Robbie Harvey.
all the practice they had should have went to the trucks because they're the ones that seem to have needed it when I watched.
I don't think anybody was proud of that. That was when I was at the Snowball on Sunday. The two track announcers, Bill Roth and Robbie Harvey, were still talking smack about that race because that was so bad. And I love race trucks. If you follow my Twitter at all, I'm always talking about how awesome race trucks are. So that sucked. But yeah, and then moving on, I
It's
skipped.
always
Oh, go
it's
ahead.
like recommending a song that your buddy just don't like, right? You're like, oh, you got to catch this race, and, and it's that race. That's the one you stood on business with.
Outside of the
I
Midwest,
didn't think the race with the most cautions that I watched on Thursday would have been at the Snowball Derby, considering I watched the entire dome for that. So
I'm pretty sure I made a comment about that on Twitter too, that it was like somehow worse than the dome for crash wise. I did not see. And they had 25 trucks, and you never get 25 trucks down here. So I'm like, this is gonna be great. It wasn't. That was
Well,
I.
now we know why you never get 25
And
trucks.
on top of that, the winner gets disqualified after the race, and then Caden Honeycutt picks up his first win of the Derby weekend. He's running 4 divisions, the only driver to do that. And then I guess that's kind of a good segue to Sunday, which was Snowball Derby Day. Um, I don't think.
So timeline, right? One point of order before we get there. So timeline is you went Friday, you didn't go Saturday.
Yeah.
Now I asked you pointedly last week, were you going to leave either of those early? And you assured us you weren't going to leave either day early. Now I understand that there was a Crown Vic race, and I did not get a race recap of a Crown Vic race.
Well, that was a 16 car Crown Vic Invitational race, and it was very cold. And I'm pretty sure me and everyone else in the stands bolted as soon as the modified race was over. But Chris Salter won that race. And so I do know who won, and Chris Salter, he actually
I have MRP too, okay? You left early is the point I'm driving
put that
over
on
here.
Facebook, but Chris Salter's one of the Salters are one of the best drivers down here. So in Crown Vics, even went up to West Virginia about a month ago to run at Ona Speedway for a big Crown Vic race. So big time Crown Vic racing down here.
Right. So then we skipped Saturday. We didn't go to the Snowflake, right? And then so Julian's timeline brings us now to Sunday, and you're there for the snowball again.
Yeah, my first snowball. I've been to the 2010 and 2011 snowball derbies, so I haven't been. And if you would have asked me in July if I would have been at the snowball derby, I would have been like, no, I'm gonna be somewhere else. Your mic failing you again?
Well, oh, you were supposed to, yeah.
Yeah, so I was supposed to be in Texas, but I'm not. So, and I mean, I love the snowball derby. I love Flags Speedway, one of my favorite tracks. I woke up, I barely got any sleep on Saturday night. Woke up Sunday. Fiance and I got a Starbucks because she wanted a Starbucks, and set off. Got to stop at Buc-ee's on the way there, which is good. Got a pastry. It's pretty good. And I saw Bubba Pollard merch at Buc-ee's, and then pulled in, parked half mile down from the track, walked in, and there's no track that gets me as excited as Five Flags, and I was pumped up. I was like, you walk into there and you get chills, and I ended up I got lucky too. I was telling Carter about this, but apparently it was all sold out, and I got the last ticket in my row. Ended up having no one around me except behind me, so no one either side. In front of me, it was nice. I'm short, so I didn't have to do any kind of this stuff. But yeah, it was really great race. There's only one relatively minor pileup, a couple spins here and there, so it's really clean by Derby standards. Wisconsin guy Ty Majeski led a lot of the race, and then he got bested by big time dirt late model guy Caden Honeycutt at the end of the race, and Stephen Nassy almost got to him in the last corner to finally win the snowball, and it would have been the first driver to ever win the snowflake and snowball in the same weekend, but Caden Honeycutt held it off, puked in victory lane from exhaustion or something like that. So
Well, that was his fourth race of the weekend.
yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't even mention the modified race. He was actually, I believe, in the lead, and on a restart, something broke in the car. So I mean, he would have been in contention for that, and he got in a pileup in the snowflake the night before. But yeah, I mean, his first super late
the best
model
driver there was a dirt late model driver. That does make sense though.
and actually Shane Clanton was there helping Bubba Pollard all weekend. I don't know if think people caught that, but Shane Clanton's brother actually used to run ASA back in the day, so he's kind of into the asphalt world a little bit. So yeah, that was kind of cool, but actually terrible run for Bubba Pollard in the Derby. That was a little bit disappointing. One of the best runs was one of my West Coast guys from where I live out there, Jace Hansen from Colorado. They took a gamble on not taking tires. It worked out. He blasted through the field, took the lead at one point, dropped back to fourth, but no sponsors on the car at all or anything like that. Nobody expected him to do anything. And former actually Derby pole sitter Preston Peltier was his crew chief. So get a little bit of help there, but every time he passed somebody, I clapped. So that was it was fun.
How many laps is the race?
300.
Oh, too long for me.
Dang.
It was I mean, it was a fast race. I mean, I've been to previous derbies I've been to had huge pileups. The first one I went to, Derek Thorne barrel rolled in turn one, and a couple other big time pileups. But this one was really clean. It was really good racing. So that was a lot of fun.
Right on. And I guess I didn't realize that you took the old lady with you. I didn't know she went.
No,
No, she didn't.
no.
I thought you said. I
No,
misunderstood your story then.
yeah, we just got Starbucks in the morning, and then
Oh, and then you
yeah,
departed by yourself.
she's not a big racing fan, and so she didn't
Oh,
want to.
sorry.
She didn't want to deal like. Here's the thing too: is they told me they only had single seats left, and obviously I get there and there's two, and she's like, and so she was like, I don't really want to, she's not a big racing fan, didn't want to sit there with a
Yeah.
huge crowd and everything like that. But hey, we even got no fireworks, but we got a flyover from the Naval Air
Mhm.
Station, Pensacola there, so that was pretty cool. You don't usually
Yeah,
get
those are
flyovers
always fun.
for short track races.
No, I think the only one that comes to mind that I've been to is the USA Nationals. That's the only one that off the top of my head, I know for a fact I have a flyover there.
I saw one at Plymouth for an IRA show. I don't remember what was flying over, but it was I don't know. I don't know. It was something. It was part of. It was supposed to be flying over. It wasn't a random airplane, but I
Are you
remember
sure
something was flying over.
it wasn't just some like Dyna Cessna that just like happened to be there?
I
At,
lost on the crop dusting route. Oh shit, if I'm supposed to be here.
at 141, you always see. I don't know what they're called. They're like paraglider things that aren't a flyover. They're just like neighbors that have them, and they're always going over. Um, but no,
There's
at
one thing I miss about living in Vegas. The whole Vegas complex is right next to the Air Force Base there. So you constantly see like B-52 bombers and F-22s and F-35s and all this crazy, planes and stuff like that flying in. So it's never planned, but it's always there.
So they get lots of flyovers then.
Oh yeah. Actually, one of them actually broke some windows in my neighborhood that I lived in. It flew so low.
Oh man.
Not our windows, but
Not yours. But anyway, well, it sounds like a fun time was had, and shockingly, it sounds like even Carter and I tuned in sometimes along the way. I think at least in part because we knew you were there following, so we wanted to be a part of it with you. But I think we all caught some of the dome as well. Obviously, that's probably what more more of our listeners were expecting us to talk about. But I mean, Julian went racing. We all just watched racing. One's way cooler to talk about. Um, so anyway, the dome. Oh, Brandon Shepard was the winner. Trevor Neville was the other winner. Um, it was fun. It remains my favorite event. I don't know. What were the takeaways? Anything that caught your eye? I don't think we need to belabor the results too hard. But
um, it's crazy how good the racing is when you get all the good guys in one feature. I mean, those qualifiers on Saturday were rough. I don't know. I think
yeah,
did they finish any of the non-qual? I know one or two of them got timed out. The non-qualifiers, those first three races. I remember the first one got timed out.
yeah.
Those
I
are
genuinely don't know. I mean, I was honestly making chili through all of that. Like it was on in the background. I was listening to it. I was impressed, but like I was like, I know I'm gonna have more downtime than uptime. I'm gonna do the annual chili fiesta over here while we do that. But so I don't think any of them did though, honestly.
I'm not saying just to like make it invite only for the late models because like I don't know. It's still I feel like part of the dome is seeing the most random guys show up. Like I feel like that's just like part of it at this point. Like I don't even mind it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I know they are doing something next year where like it's open, anyone can enter, but there's still like kind of some guys, even if you enter, might not get a spot in based off how much you've raced and whatnot, which I think is fair.
I
I
mean,
mean, a
that
guy
seems totally fair.
a guy can't run one race all year or even none and then just show up to the dome and then all of a sudden he's wrecking 14 times and we get no laps in 30 minutes completed. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does grind the show to the halt early on a Saturday like 'cause each other day you have them split in half. There's only so many, but on Saturday it's all of
what did it
them.
get done at what
And,
midnight on Saturday? Was I think it was like
yeah.
midnight. It started at
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
Which
So
yeah, because I was trying to go to bed to
um,
get up early to go to the Derby, and I was like, and we're still racing. And I'm like, oh.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't
luckily the
mind it
last
too
race,
bad. What's
no,
that?
luckily the last race was good. So I mean, it was worth.
Hmm.
I mean, the big main event of the whole event, modified race. So
I will
The
say
modified race, yeah.
when I'm there, I don't mind it nearly as much as I do watching at home, which I don't know, I feel like it's kind of weird. Usually, like if I'm at a race in person and there's a lot of wrecks, I'm like annoyed. But at the Dome, I feel like they have so much more stuff to fill time, like that they do on the big screen and
Exactly.
stuff. So it's not as
Hmm.
bad. But at home, I was like, oh, geez, can we can we hurry up this
Yeah.
instead of watching the same four commercials on Flow on repeat over and over?
Yeah. Well, and then also too, I was thinking about that as well, because like at home, guy goes through the fence. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool, but then it like, we're down for an hour. But
Yeah,
if you're there, one, you got to see that was infinitely cooler in person than it is over the television, and then two, that whole the whole concourse area is just filled with stuff to do. There's vendors and places to walk, and or like you said on the big screen. So I don't know. It definitely is a better, I think, in-person event when those things happen. But I don't know. I still enjoy it. I still very much like watching it on TV. But to Julian's point, yeah, the modified feature was awesome. I thought. I mean, Neville. No, he definitely. I think might have been Mr. Relevant in our draft, if I recall correctly. I don't remember exactly, but late pick. Yeah, I think you took him very last, and he won the whole
Last
thing.
for me was
Yeah,
Trevor Neville, and but yeah, like I thought he drove an incredible race. Honestly, like
he did.
he had everyone all over him. He was changing up. Like it was awesome because I think it was Thursday. I think the track got bottom dominant for the modified race,
Hmm.
and it's kind of. I missed Friday because I was at the
I think his prelim was
but
Friday, right? Neville's.
Yeah, his prelim was Friday. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think didn't Thornton won Friday Thursday, right? I
Yep.
Jordan
believe.
won Thursday.
Yeah, I
Yep,
remember
Neville
it
won
was really
Friday.
just around the bottom, and there wasn't much. But I mean, the Saturday show, I mean, they were up on top. They were, running like diamond lines. They were running, I don't know, it was like slider lines, different corners, changing every corner, every lap. And I mean, Neville was adapting to it, and that's hard to do because in a dirt race, you're out front and as the leader, you're kind of at a disadvantage because the guy behind you, he could try stuff and doesn't really have much to lose.
I wa
Hmm.
But I mean,
I wonder
yeah,
too if he was looking at the big screen. I mean, like you hear like the Chili Bowl and stuff, even like
thought about that.
races where Dirt Vision has their screen there. Guys look at it, and I'm sure the camera was on him and RTJ when they were right by each other, and he could see kind of what RTJ was doing. So I wonder how much
Hmm.
that played into effect too.
I thought
I
about
think
that.
Yeah, I thought throughout the week a few guys definitely made reference. I think Carter Schlenk, when he won his heat on Friday or whatever, had maybe made reference to like watching up there because he had some calamity. So I think they definitely were doing that. Um,
Well,
it it
at the snowball, I was gonna say they had the screen set up. Flo had the screen set up one in turn one. Sometimes I found myself watching the screen more instead of the racing on track because it's kind of hard to see at some point. So I wonder if some of those guys that went through the fence are looking at the screen a little too much.
yeah, I forgot to watch the oh crap, there's a left-hand turn there. Possibly for sure. Um, I thought Neville drove a great race. I thought he was pestered the whole time. RTJ, I went back and watched highlights a little bit. I think at least once for sure he got the lead back because of a caution. And there was a second time it looked I remember watching and then I catching it on the replay too. It looked like Trent Young was gonna give him all he could handle around the top with Neville on the bottom coming to a yellow flag too. So a little I mean, hey, everyone needs to be a little lucky. You can't say that he didn't drive a good race and he was fast all freaking weekend. So whatever, it broke his way in that instance. RTJ broke anyway, so maybe it was all for naught. But but yeah, that was just the one thing I thought he was good all weekend, and in some ways you could even say dominant, but not like overly dominant, right?
Well,
It wasn't like Trevor Neville and everybody else. He just won everything, but he had to fend them all off.
yeah, and I mean, since we're talking about guys that did well, and especially you said Trent Young. I mean, Trent Young was pretty impressive. I mean, we
Oh,
Trent
yeah.
Young doesn't. I mean, he doesn't really have the accolades. I would say as much as some of these other guys. He has some wins and things like that, some good drives, but not like the big time modified wins that some of these other guys did. And he was on it. I was really surprised how quick he was. And then
Oh
another
yeah.
guy, Carlos Amata, who had an absolutely atrocious season. Dropped off USMTS. didn't even really run locally, I would say, just kind of here and there kind of thing down in Vado and stuff like that. He was great. And I think he had one of the best intros too. So I mean, with the Cheech and Chong thing,
He
uh,
did. I thought that was probably the best across the board, maybe as far as
most
intros.
well executed. Like they actually put effort into that. It wasn't like a last second thing. That was good. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah. So interestingly enough, I have a Carlos Amata story. Can you believe it? Um, so yeah, I had met him at MTS. This was I think 2022. I, there was actually the time I was at MTS and there was a tornado, truthfully. But anyway, so I'm at the top of the track taking pictures, pretending I know what the heck I'm looking at, and there's a gentleman sitting up there on a pit bike. And so me being me, I just kind of turned and looked to him and I said, I'm up here taking pictures for social media, pretending I know what I'm looking at. Uh, but you look like you actually have a clue. So would you mind, you want to share? And so, interestingly enough, he was nice and he kind of told me what he was looking at and how the track raced and everything. And I asked him a couple questions and we were getting ready to depart. And I was just like, I feel like I should know who you are, and you definitely look familiar, but I can't place it. My name's Josh. Nice to meet you. And he's like, Yeah, I'm Carlos. And I'm like, Oh, Carlos Amata Jr. I should have known that. So
Like I feel like he would be an easy guy to like recognize too, and not just because he's like an Hispanic guy up in Wisconsin, but I mean just like he's just very like specific face, I would say.
I didn't want to be presumptuous, Julian, and this was 2 years ago. I would say I probably knew less about racing then than I do now, but
To be fair, I could see him at a race this year and I would not know it's him. And I saw what he looked like this weekend and I'll forget his face. Even
Maybe it's
though
just because you're IMCA and Wasota guys, and I pay attention at USRA a lot.
that could
Yeah, it
be.
could be,
I would recognize way more
but
IMCA guys than USRA guys, so that probably is
Hey,
part of
I
it.
mean, Carlos really flew the banner for USRA this weekend.
he did,
He
definitely did.
he did better than you had guys Rodney Sanders, Jason Hughes, Tanner Mullins, Tyler
Mhm.
Wolf, all of them, and Carlos ran better than all of them. And I mean,
Yeah,
and he really
he
got
was their
his,
best finisher.
and I mean, he really got slapped. I mean, not he got slapped around this year. I'm not saying that like a bad way. He just had like really bad luck and just
Tough
didn't.
season. I
Yeah,
think he ended up.
just
I
an
can't
off year.
remember. Can't remember if he started on the tour with
I think he did.
USMTS and dropped off, or maybe just never really fully committed. But yeah, he
I
definitely
like
wasn't with them at the end.
I like Carlos. I mean, I think we often talk about Carlos a lot and when he's runs. And so I mean it was kind of shocking that he performed so poorly this season. I don't know, it just guys have off years.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah. No,
that's a
I
lot
mean
of
he.
momentum for him in front of the biggest stage all year.
Mhm.
That was
Heck
huge.
yeah.
So maybe that'll give him some really good momentum going into Battle next month.
Hopefully, I mean
Home track.
that's hometown. Yeah, that's home track. That's so, and I'm sure he'll be there, and maybe it'll set up for good things. But yeah, it was awesome to see him do so well. I know he's definitely a Discord favorite, right? Like we talk about him in the Discord quite a bit. He catches our attention. Um, I don't know. Some other things I noticed. I actually liked RTJ coming out to Taylor Swift. Yeah, I thought that was a perfect song, right? Must be get tiring to root for the anti-hero or however it goes. But I thought that was a nice touch. Lean in on that one. Um, Gordy Gundaker was maybe the steal of our fantasy draft. I panicked, took him, and he locked in, and it's upset.
And after we filmed the last episode, I'm pretty sure you said after you were like, I didn't really want Gordy. I just had to pick someone and didn't want to keep wasting time, and it ended up working
Yeah,
out perfectly for you. So
it was brilliant, brilliant. Now it was panicked. I felt the airtime burning, and it was a name, and he had a dot. Remember the dot system? He had a dots.
Well, and speaking of that draft, if you remember, we led off with first pick of the draft for the late models, and Carter took.
Tyler Erb, but not on purpose. I just couldn't find Shepard, so I thought he was Friday.
Tyler Herb didn't make either feature. So when I panicked, I took Cody Gundaker. When you panicked, you took Tyler Erb.
There's a lot of guys I would have been better off taking. Pretty much anyone that made a single feature would have been a plus for me. Although I didn't know that I didn't know how the provisionals worked. I thought for sure he had a provisional, but I guess he only saw. I was like, oh, I'm fine. And then they said Overton, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're kidding. I was like, I thought I was gonna get some points out of it.
And that saved my Overton pick because he was on the track and have done nothing. Yeah. Apparently, you get the past champions provisional, but it's only good one
Yeah,
time.
just once. I
You
did
can
not know
only
that.
redeem. I actually like that. That's a good rule,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
do like that, but I didn't know that, so I didn't like it at the time because I thought my guy was gonna at least make for sure. Thought I had a for sure lock in, and then he made nothing. So
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of that,
okay.
do we know what happened? Like, did Ray Bollinger have one? Because I can't remember the driver that came out with the sign that said "Thank you, Ray
Jimmy
Bollinger."
Lennox.
Yeah,
Jimmy Lennox Jr.
did he like
Yeah.
transfer it to
So
him?
I
What?
remember looking at my race pass, and Bollinger was in 20th on MRP, and then I looked again like for the feature, and then that Lennox replaced him, so he must have given it to him or something like that. So I'm guessing
Might
something
have
like that
been.
happened.
I
Because
Yeah.
I
didn't
do remember.
catch. Like, I don't know if they ever said like what that was about. I feel like I assumed that Bollinger just kind of like gifted it to Lennox. I'm assuming that's what happened since Bollinger had the past champions provisional.
I mean, it must have been, or he waved and they found another way to give it to Lennox. I mean, in one of the two, Bollinger wrecked out, I think, in the last chance qualifier, so I don't know that he would have been able to take it
Yeah,
anyway.
that's what I was thinking. I thought maybe just his car wasn't going to be ready for the feature, and
Yeah.
that's why he didn't take it.
Speaking of Ray Bollinger, I don't know if either of you caught this. I saw it on Facebook on the day after he ran, whatever day he ran, or maybe it was the day he ran. But anyway, he ended up wrecking out of the B main that he was in on his qualifying night, and he showed a picture that like the brakes went out, and it got so hot that it like folded his rim over
I did
the
see that.
tire drum.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was wild. I don't know dick about cars, but I know it's not supposed to work that way.
Yeah, I,
So
it's
I thought
yeah,
that was interesting.
yeah. It's funny. My aunt actually called me today, and they're having a problem with their brakes on their car, and I was like, I really don't know anything about cars. I was like,
Yeah,
it might be something. Might want to get
yeah.
that fixed.
If they go fast, I like them, but otherwise, I mean, oil changes and brakes is about all I can do. I don't know that I can get much further than that. But anyway, we need not sell ourselves out on podcasts. Too bad. So we'll pump the brakes. Um, the only other note I had, actually, I want to circle back to Trent Young. So, like a little bit of praise to us. So we did do the contender series deal on Facebook over the lead up to the draft, and he was one of them. And he had kind of caught my eye at MTS for the big deal. He come up this way. That alone kind of made me go, huh. But then I don't even recall if he made the show, but ran well when I was there on Saturday. Caught my eye, and I saw him at the Dome. And so he's kind of just fell into that. But it was really neat to just see someone I think to us who's very kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. The dude's so awesome. And it was actually cool when we were researching him, Julian. Like he's been there every time. I didn't even realize that at the time. He's been to the Dome every time. He won his heat race and he was over the moon. He's like, it's the first time I've ever won anything here. Like I've never won, not even won a heat race. So to see him run second, challenge for the lead on both nights, like that was cool. That was cool to see him, just someone we highlighted, someone we thought had a chance, and
He
to see
easily could
him,
have won the whole thing. I mean, he
oh
was right
yeah,
with Neville. I mean, one misstep by Neville clipped the inside wall, clipped the outside wall, and Trent Young's going to capitalize. He's probably going to win the race. I mean,
yeah,
he was lightning quick. So, I mean, that was a heck of a performance.
yeah. And I mean, it was for much as we praise Neville for running a smart race, like Trent Young ran a pretty dang good reactive race to be able to react to all that different stuff and just never go away, just never ever go away, just stay there in his hip pocket. So anyway, I think the last thing, the fight, the fight I almost said I knew I would have
Which
hated
fight?
myself, but anyway, the fight at the Dome, the dude got out of his car and went sprinting across the back front stretch and beat up the other dude in the car. Did you see that?
There were two fights, Josh.
What's the other fight?
He, Steve
Oh,
Shepard.
yeah, there was that
Oh,
one.
yeah, that one didn't get on Sports Center.
Yeah, that was more entertaining though.
Yeah,
Other than the guy like huffing and puffing his way to the car and then like slapping around his like the guy's visor or something.
like Noogie. I don't know. I mean, the guy is helmet on. What's he gonna do? He's doing his best. He's mad, and he's letting him know about it. I mean, the Steve Shepard one's that one was funny. They interviewed him afterwards. He's like, I don't do well with people running their mouth. And he's like, there's no hard feelings. It's fine.
And
Whatever.
Shepard said that uh, Carpenter wasn't even mad at the right guy. I guess Shepard said I think it was Hudson that
Yeah.
spun
Yeah.
Carpenter. He was like, I
Yeah.
don't know why he's mad at me for, but I'm gonna fight back if he's mad at me.
I can kind of
And
get
you know,
down with that.
speaking of
Like,
big time getting on TV and stuff. Steve, I don't know how much you guys know, but Steve Shepard was on the Speed Channel with Dave Despain back in the day when he jumped on Dennis Erb Jr.'s
Oh,
air cleaner Highland during a Hill Tour race.
yeah.
So that was like the ultimate throwback. I mean, it was kind of like reverse, but I mean, it's like Steve
Yeah.
Shepard's been there before, so that was hilarious.
I also
Well, I'd
thought
seen a couple different. Oh, go ahead.
I thought Brandon's interview was funny too, and I don't know exactly what he said, but he was like, "Yeah, I just see my dad doing." I don't know what he said, but he's like mentioned how the race was over and he saw his dad was up to something, doing something over with Carpenter. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, somebody needs to settle Steve down or
That's what it
something.
was. Yeah,
Well, I saw a couple different interviews. I think like Shepard basically, like I said, whatever. There's no hard feelings. I think Carpenter had even said he's like, I knew it was one of the two, and it actually turns out that like the incident with me and Steve at the line was also it was an accident that was not intentional or retaliation. But then he got pissed, and I was like, well, it's the dome, so whatever. So I got pissed.
You
So
know, it's
like,
kind of like a hockey fight when somebody bumps you and then you're just like, and you're in a pile, and it's like, well, I'm going to drop my gloves and beat up someone.
yeah, I
And
think
then, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think Shepard at one point, I think in one of his interviews said like I was trying to get out of the car, but I'm too old now to get out fast. I was trying to do it on the front stretch.
You look like you was throwing some bombs there when Flo had the cameras down there. So
Yeah,
I mean, that like I said, that was more entertaining than my man. I don't even know who it was running down to the car. See, I
yeah, I
said
can't remember.
See, I said that one was like a hockey fight. Well, this one is like a hockey fight when the two guys drop their gloves, circle for about 30 seconds, and
Yeah,
then fall down after
yeah,
like one punch.
yeah. Well, Ben's commentary certainly helped that one. I think get going. Ben nailed that. The commentary was perfect. He's the fastest man alive. Uh, so I thought that worked. I don't know. I don't know. I suppose we should maybe give a disclaimer or share how we feel or whatever. Or maybe I'm just feeling self-conscious about it. I loved both of those fights. This is an event. It is meant to be an event. It is billed as an event, and there's some dirt racing, and there was some bomb ass dirt racing, but it's a show and that's part of it. And so whatever. I'm here for it. I don't want it every day or every time I go to the track or any of that nonsense, but hey, they all signed up for this and they all seem to be willing participants. So if they want to entertain us, right? Like my man said, are you not entertained? I guess for the lack of a better phrase. So whoever wants to feel a certain kind of way about us laughing about fights at a dirt race, that's how we feel.
I did think
I
I thought so obviously two guys went through the fence, which was a first, and that was like the most notable thing. But I thought on Saturday during those qualifiers and non-qualifiers, the guys that kept hitting that inside wall, like where that styrofoam block was, like I don't think I've ever
yeah.
seen that happen, and it happened a bunch early Saturday. Like obviously the fence is the most notable for first time thing to happen, but that wall was I've never seen that happen. I'm surprised that actually hasn't happened more, honestly. But they kept nailing that thing.
What about the guy that hit the golf cart?
That too.
Oh
I
yeah.
saw the in car from that, by the way. The in car got
I,
was posted on Facebook.
really?
Oh, I didn't
I don't
see that.
know. I don't know really what he was doing. The one I did see another angle, and like one car started like going down the track where he was. I don't know why he didn't hit the brakes first of all. He kind of just kept going, but he was trying to get over to like whatever turn they were by, and then all of a sudden a car started rolling down the track, and then as soon as that happened, he just turned to the infield. But yeah, the in car, I was like, I just don't know why he never braked one bit, but
He was like he was running like last, and then all of a sudden he comes barreling through there and just like almost wipes out the golf cart. He sideswiped it, so it was fine. And then after
Yeah,
that, they
rotated. Yeah.
interviewed. I don't know the guy's name honestly off the top of my head. I think it was an orange car. He was sitting there in the infield like with a hand
Oh,
waving
Oh,
at
with
yeah.
the
everyone.
big hand.
His
Yeah.
car
Yeah.
was broken, but he just drove out into the infield to sit
And what?
to be a part of it. And they're like, "Do you feel safe down here?"
You're muted, Josh.
Oh no.
Technical difficulty. We're a professional podcast.
Yeah, as you could tell, we have muted audio. I still have my fiance's happy birthday thing up here. I actually asked to take that down, and I was told no. So it's just decor for the podcast now.
Are you back, Josh?
I am. It says Appy B, just so you know. And so Appy B is the core of the podcast.
Happy B.
Yeah. No. All right. Before my headset, this will have to be replaced before next episode. So yeehaw. But where were we? Do we conclude our dome thoughts, or do we have more to say?
Um, I think I got said all what I need to say.
Yeah, yeah.
I might be
I'll
there
leave you
next
this
year.
'cause I might also.
I mean, Rocket Chassis might be back in 2025, according to Tyler Peterson. So
Yeah, I did enjoy that walkout. The B-Shep walkout too. I don't know. Being a nerd, I looked up his song. I don't know. I said last week it might be personal for him, and I think his walkout song kind of confirmed that. So that was cool. Uh, yeah, and then the dude who came, the checkered flag dude that came barrel rolling out with one of the drivers for the mod entrances. That was kind of neat. You and I happened to to have a reason to post him on social media as well. So that was kind of cool to bring that full circle as well, Julian. So all right, nerd stat, and then we're going to transition. So, of the 20 cars that made it, there was an 11 and a half UMP cars. You're wondering why a half? I'm acquiescing to Carter on this one. We'll get to the half in a second. There was 11 and a half UMP cars. One was soda car, four USRA, USMTS cars, and then three and a half IMCA. I have no idea what any of their actual sanctions are. We just went by what they drive. There was three and a half IMCA guys. Why a half? I'm allowing Carter to claim half of Austin Becerra as IMCA.
Are you going off what car they were driving or what they just drive like
No,
normally?
what they normally drive.
Then
Yeah, I went with what they normally drive.
Becerra is very easily like half IMCA. If you look at where he's ran, Lee County, 34 Raceway, those are IMCA tracks. I mean, really the only UMP track he ran a lot was Quincy, from when I last looked. I mean, he ran some other
Yeah.
tracks like with the Hell Tour, I think, and whatnot. But I think the majority of his wins came at IMCA tracks too. So
I mean, I don't. Looking at the speaking of that stuff, I was like looking at the USRA, USMTS guys. I mean, those guys weren't running USRA, USMTS package. I mean, they had no spoilers, obviously, for
Yeah.
the dome. But I mean, so it's kind of like I don't specifically know what package they were running. I would assume it would be USRA, but God only knows.
I genuinely don't know the dome rules. I don't know if it's run your sanction. If they, I assume it's some variation of that. I think they're all on the same tires. I really don't know. I just thought it was interesting to see what you got. Who drive? So IMCA dudes to build this sport. Scrabble.
your mic's freaking out.
One
Really?
day we're gonna have a
Yeah.
studio with like the real
Still?
podcast mics and like some random books and diecasts on the table and everything.
This
But
is
for now,
really
we have
frustrating, guys. I
Jing
apologize.
and Happy Bee.
Are we good?
Now we're better. Yeah.
You just gotta
Okay.
stay like that the whole time.
Yeah, I genuinely apologize to you and the viewers. So sorry for that. Um, but yeah, Lesotho had a better finish than any of IMCA, so I'm gonna count that as a win.
What do you
TPO.
classify Ricky Thornton Jr. as? UMP?
When's the last
I
time
did.
you like?
I did
Yeah,
indeed. When is the last time he ran an IMCA modified of note? I'm sure you got one. I'm gonna dee
Multiple
doo
times this
dee
year.
doo.
He ran at Beatrice. He ran at Clay County. When did
Mhm.
he last run UMP prior to the Dome? Mississippi Thunder.
Big deal.
So
Yeah.
he ran an IMCA mod more recently than UMP because he ran Beatrice the week.
Did he win either of those two races?
What?
I
Yeah,
Other
don't
of
think
those
he's
two
very good in
IMCA
IMCA
races.
modifieds, is he?
he ran second to Grabowski at Beatrice. I know that.
Okay. Well, I think his last win is in a UMP mod at the Dome.
Who
So
doesn't run second to Grabowski at Beatrice though?
fair. I think they
Like, like
traded the
if you
spot
look
a
up
little bit too.
MRP, it's just Jordan Grabowski winning like every race there.
I think he had more IMC. No, now that the Dome happened, but prior to the Dome, he had more IMCA starts than UMP starts this year. So
I don't deny that he did come up. You can keep arguing that, and I'll keep entertaining it because you're probably more right.
But
But
it definitely
I like
wasn't
to tweak
an
you.
MCA car. That was
no, it was
straight
not
up
an IMCA
MCA.
car. Yes, it is not an IMCA car. But if we're just going off what they ran most this year, I mean, technically, if you're going just
Like,
mod
did
stuff,
anybody run an IMCA car there?
I have no idea. Tim Ward, maybe.
Um,
DeVilbiss, did
I
Maybe.
think
he?
it's an open car though.
DeVilbiss might have. I don't actually
I
know.
don't think so. He was pretty fast. I don't mean that dismissively, but he was pretty fast in qualifying. So
Hey, I've seen IMCA cars run fourth with USMTS before, so
fair.
granted,
Very tuned up.
I
You're
saw it
right.
one single time, but that one single time happened. So
It did happen. Anyway, I suppose it would be remiss if we didn't mention that I won the late model portion of our draft, and Julian won the modified portion of our draft. But
whoa! I won the modifieds.
no, you did. I looked at the points wrong. I am so sorry,
I
Carter.
was second in both.
Yeah,
So
come on.
the overall, I was actually consistent. You guys were like here, here.
Blame the
It was just
drivers, not my
Oh,
picks. It's the driver's fault. How
truthfully,
was I
I
supposed to know
mean,
Carter Schlink was going to outrun his own dad? I mean, if
yeah,
I knew that was going to happen, I
I
would have just picked him.
yeah, Tyler Erb over Brandon Shepard is totally a driver
That
fault.
that
I
wasn't
had
on
Lucky
purpose.
Schlenk in my dirt draft, and then I took him out and put his kid in. So
Most definitely. But that was fun. I guess we can all leave a winner, right? Carter won the mods, I won the late models, and Julian won the overall championship. So look at us.
Well, as a mod uh, focused podcast,
Centric.
I guess I got the most knowledge about mods that attended the dome. That's what I know. So
That means you need to
you're
talk
sure
more.
that you like
Julian, I need to
Illinois
talk less.
bull rings played up.
Yeah, the Illinois bull ring theory was a good one. Um, but yeah, I think so that's the end of the dome. I mean, any racing coming up? Anything this week? Anything that we'll want to talk about next week that we should warn our viewers? I'm sure there's some racing. Julian,
Well,
you said DeCoin.
yeah, we have the I think it's the Junior Nepper 55 at DuQuoin, the big Power Eye midget race. Assume all the top guys will be there. I know like Team Hez and I mean pretty much anybody's going to be there. I mean it's good. I assume it's a good testing thing for the Chili
I,
Bowl coming up. So I
I
mean
could warm up
I
for the
think
show.
Team Hez won this race last year, I believe. Super flat track there. But yeah, that'll be on Dirt Vision, so I'll probably tune into that. And then we have the big 100,000 to win 604 crate late model race this weekend.
Oh yeah, where's that at now?
Altec.
It got
Okay,
moved, right?
It was at Golden Isles originally, and then it got moved.
okay. All right.
So
Well, that should be neat.
I'll check
I
my race pass. I'll probably watch that DeCoin race because I think that's literally the only thing that I have, like out of the streaming service I have, that'll be on. So
I don't know really who's going to the crate race. So I mean, I think a lot of big guys like maybe like Davenport and stuff were signed up, but I'm not sure who's actually
um,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
participating.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some super guys, like national guys. I'm sure Cody Overton will be there. I feel like he's in a crate every other weekend. So
yeah. I think Joyner's going to be there. I think Chase Holland's going to be there. Someone had said, I don't know. So
AJ Demel we saw, he's gonna go down
yeah,
there. Maybe a couple more northern kind of guys.
yeah.
Uh,
Didn't Whitener just snipe a crate win at Golden Isles this
oh yeah,
weekend
it was like
too?
20
yeah, he'll
twenty
definitely be
k.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the best down there in crates, so I mean he'll for
Mhm.
sure be there. So probably Clay Harris, I would say. I think he
Yeah.
runs
Oh
great stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Kyle Bronson,
worth
he
keeping an
might.
eye on.
I feel like he kind of shows up at that kind of stuff too. So I could see him running. And I don't know if he has a crate car, but He's kind of always running
I like,
stuff down there.
I like Corey Hedgecock too. I would say he's. I
Yeah.
think he's really good down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Should
Knowles,
be
I
interesting.
believe, like Jody Knowles and stuff like that. So
Yeah, should be fun. Um, we'll I don't know, keep an eye on it. Oh, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. Maybe we won't. Otherwise, next week, TBD for show schedule. Got some ideas working. I don't know. Maybe we'll do mock schedules or create
we'll see
a
what
hell
happens
week
at
or
PRI.
something.
If anything cool happens at PRI, I mean, most of the schedules are out except USAC. I would say really.
Hmm.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. I think some people are teasing an announcement, so maybe something fun will happen. We get to talk about it, but
Yeah.
we'll have something going on for next week.
Maybe we
Yeah.
mention some of the races we went to this past year too. We never really talked about races we went to all because obviously, I mean, Julian's going to races every weekend now, but me and Josh up here in the north don't get many options. So maybe we can talk
Yeah.
about some of our favorite races or something from this past summer. So
Yeah.
This is
I
prime
think it'll
season
be
down.
what's that?
I said this is prime season for racing down here. It's the only place you
Yeah,
can.
too hot in the summer to race. Um, but no, I think it's fair to say for our viewers, either it's going to be a recap of something cool we did this year that we wanted to talk about, or something looking forward, whether it be a fantasy schedule or maybe some highlights of our own schedule we hope to catch. But it'll be one of in that realm of stuff. So something to look forward to next week. Uh, what's next?
one for the road, which I guess I'll start off with. I came unprepared, but I did see just recently that the best appearing car awards were announced for the Dome, and for the mods it was Chase Holland, and then Shepard had the late model one. I personally would have voted for neither of them. Um, I would have voted for I can't remember his name now. It was a number 4 late model. It was gold. Who was that? He had like a throwback to I think a NASCAR. Is it Ryan something? What's his name?
Oh,
Oh,
Montgomery.
Ryan Montgomery.
Yes, I
Yep, yep,
that
yep.
was my favorite late model by far. But I do
Oh yeah,
think,
that one was nice.
Chris Simpson, I think, got jobbed on that one. It was a
Yeah.
good looking merch too. I believe he posted on his Facebook.
I did like that shirt. Yeah, was it like
Yeah.
1,500 or 1,000 for best appearing car too? Something it was like decent money
Something.
for it. So
Yeah.
Shepard really got some good money.
I hope he shares it with somebody. He should at least give half to Hoffman.
I was gonna say my buddy Nick Hoffman should get a little bit of that money.
Yeah, like if inspiration fee or something. I
The
don't know. That seems so reductive, but
Nick Hoffman tribute car.
yeah, it they they look similar, but that's just kind of unfair, right? Orange and blue, all any orange, white, and blue card. But anyway,
I, w- I,
I
w-
feel it.
I will say on Thursday night when I was watching, there was times where I looked up and thought it was Hoffman. So then on Friday when I saw Hoffman, I was like, wait a minute, I thought you raced already.
Well, to be fair, there's a car in my area that's just a straight.
Oh, I know, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So anyway, but but yeah, I don't know. Chase, I got a giggle out of the Chase Holland's money thing, right? Like playing on everyone thinks they're loaded, so just money flying off the car. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Carpenter's was the best for late models. I just liked the green. I thought it looked good. I don't know about mods. I guess I didn't pay that close attention.
Maybe Zane DeVilbiss with the
Oh,
jacket.
yes,
Oh yeah, that one was good.
but only the purple
Trying to remember
side
who I voted
Jason
for.
Hughes.
I did
Jason Hughes
vote
is
in this thing.
hues I
Hmm?
liked.
yeah, Jason Hughes is clean.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I mean I guess
Carlos's look good too.
yeah,
Carlos Amato's look good.
I guess we'll transfer to Julian down here. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, so my one for the
Wait,
road,
Julian.
we're going back to the snowball. I was debating on what to talk about this, but I'm gonna mention Augie Grill winning the Outlaw feature on Saturday night after the snowflake. Augie announced he was battling cancer earlier this year, and if you don't know who Augie Grill is, he's a legend in asphalt late model racing. He has 2 Snowball Derby wins, 3 Snowflake 100 wins, and then 3 modified wins. So he picked up his first Outlaw feature win in a car that's actually for sale. And he's told the story that he said it might be good if we run this car and we could it runs well, I could sell it for you. And so he won that, his ninth win for the Derby weekend, which is more than anyone. And so that was really cool to see that. And it was kind of like the truck race from Thursday. It wasn't very good, but awesome to see Augie Girl back in victory lane. I think everybody was cheering for him, and he actually tried to qualify for the Snowflake. That I don't think he either didn't qualify or he just got taken out in a crash or something. And then he got a last second Snowball Derby ride. They for the LCQ, the car Casey Klein was in. They put him in the car and he tried to make it through the LCQ, didn't qualify, but still great to see Augie Girl get another win.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had watching qualifying or something. I think they talked about him a lot, so I think he's good around that area. So that's kind of neat. They had a couple different ones. Part of me wants to give Julian crap that a street outlaw beat a bunch of pro modders in a drag race. That feels like a good one. So, props to Kai Kelly. I'll probably skip that one. No, I think I want Slocum 50. I was a little worried. So that event I went down on a whim a couple years ago, and I thought it was pretty neat. I wrote a story about it on the Facebook, and some of the community members and stuff reached out and just said, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. This event's actually really, really important to us, and you might not know the whole story. And they kind of filled me in, and I thought it was. I think it's an even cooler event. I enjoyed my time there, but it's cool to see the racing community down there really rally around the event. So when RIP MLRA had to get it in there. But when they folded, I was actually a little worried. I was hoping maybe it would stick with Lucas, and then Lucas's schedule came out and it wasn't on there either. And then I was really kind of bummed because I wanted to see that event do good, and I try to make it down there as much as I can. I'm probably going to shoot again to be down there this April as well. But so anyway, long story short, I saw today they're on the Mars schedule. So I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm glad that they were able to find a sanction. Looks like Mars is kind of expanding into whatever MLRA had going on in Iowa. Mars is taking some of it, but mostly I'm just really pumped that this Locum 50 has a sanction, and super late models are going to be there in April again, and I'll probably be there as well. This year we were actually going to take the boys and stay at the resort down there in Burlington, Iowa. They have a casino resort, and so I was going to lose a bunch of money and let the kids waste a bunch of money at the water park and go racing. So maybe we'll do it this year instead. But yeah, I'm excited for them. That's a big deal. So
All right.
anyway,
Good
well,
story.
with that,
It's a good story, Josh.
thanks. I have stories, lots of them. Anyway, with that, I think we will bid you all adieu. Appreciate you for joining us again on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or whatever freaking day you watch this, because it's not a Wednesday only thing. Watch it when you want to. Like, share, comment. I should probably just say that right away at the beginning, or we should have like little things down here, Carter, pointing at it, like do this, do this. Or you can
You
build
really
in like 10-minute breaks, like this video. Anyway, I digress. I'm losing the plot. Anyway, we appreciate you. Thank you. We'll see you again next Wednesday. Have a good one.
We're also on Spotify, YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, you always forget that, Josh.
Nice save, Carter. Appreciate you. We're also on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube.
All right, goodbye.